Okay, we're here today. We're going to be doing a resin splice kit. If you're watching this video, you probably received a box like this with your resin splice kit. And Matt is going to talk us through what we have in the box and how to go about doing this. Hey, Matt.
All right, so inside your box, you got your part A and part B, equal amounts of resin in each of these. Then we have your 2 rubber gloves. This is the stir stick for your resins. Roll of electrical tape. We got a zip tie here. This is the bottom part of our splice that will be going on to the power cable end. And then this is the other part of our splice. Here's the top part that clips into the bottom. And it also has the
3 butt splices.
Thank you. On it.
So what's the first thing we do?
First thing we're gonna do is we actually have to cut back the shielding on our power cable so we can expose the 3 wires.
Okay. How far back do you like to cut it?
I usually like to cut it back
2 inches?
Yeah, just about 2 inches. That way it gives you enough to strip back and have a little bit of room to spread them apart to where you can crimp them.
Okay.
And just gently. And then that leaves you with your 3 individuals.
Okay, so he's got the copper exposed now. Looks like maybe close to a 1/2 inch, maybe a little under 1/2 inch copper. And then what's next?
So the first thing we do is we take our splice, the bottom, and we slide that over our wires. So it's down here.
Out of the way.
Then we take our zip tie and you put this, I like to keep it just about a 1/4 inch.
Below the end?
Just below the end. Tighten it. And then
cut that flush.
Cut that off.
Okay.
We do this to keep this splice from coming up and over top.
Okay, so that just keeps you from sliding it back off again. Okay.
The next thing that we do is make sure all those are nice and tight. Is we take our connections.
Yep. And what are the colors? What are the color codes on this?
So, what we do is we put our green with the yellow.
Okay.
The black goes to black,
okay,
and your red goes to the white.
Okay.
So we'll go ahead and crimp those on right now.
And if the colors on the customer's wire is already green, black, and red, then they would just connect the black to the black, the green to the green, and the red to the red.
Yep. So we crimp that.
But in this case, we do
the white to red,
yep,
green to yellow,
and black
to black.
Yeah.
And always make sure you hold those wires in there nice and tight. We got a little straggler. Okay.
Okay, so now you got everything butt spliced together. So what's the next step?
So now that everything's butt spliced together, what we need to do is we actually take our electrical tape and we have to wrap these 3 individually. Make sure everything is connected, covered completely, so there's no
touching.
Nothing's open and exposed to the elements to make sure nothing arcs between it. Okay. Then we also have to tape the bottom part.
Okay. Yeah. So let's watch you do one of those.
The new tape is usually I usually take just a couple.
So, okay, he's got these butt spliced together real good, and so I believe the next step is to wrap some tape around those so they can't touch each other.
Correct. We're going to wrap each of these individually.
Okay.
So that way we don't have any problems up here.
Covered up with no metal showing anywhere around.
Nothing.
Okay, so he has everything insulated very well, so the butt splices can't contact each other. And then what's the next step?
So the next step, what we're going to do is we're actually going to tape from here down to here. And what that's doing is preventing any of the resin to come back through the bottom of the splice kit.
You're almost kind of creating a cork.
Yes.
Kind of. Okay.
So I wrap over my zip tie and I go around a couple times.
Looks like that first row, what, 3-4 times?
Yeah. And then I just work my way down. And at that point, we just give it a little.
So you did four rows on the top and just one straight row down.
Correct. And then that's just so it allows it to go up and build up to this part to create a seam.
Yeah, let's see what you're
And
talking
then
about.
we slide this over.
So that's why you only did one row at the bottom, so it would still fit through the hole.
Yep.
Then the 4 rows at the top,
Kind of
the
help
4 layers at the top kind of plug the hole, so to speak.
and seal it up.
Okay.
And then from this point, you're going to have to go ahead and put your gloves on because your next step will be the resin.
Okay. Okay, so you have all that slid on there, and you have the bottom kind of sealed up with the tape there. What's the next step?
So our next step will be the resin.
Okay, so you
So-
take part A.
We're going to open this up, and these do have lids on them with a little pull tab.
Okay, cool.
So you're going to open up one side.
Does it matter? Okay, I know. Okay.
We're going to open up the other one.
And they're both the same quantity in each one?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay. So once we are to this point.
Does it matter
Now-
which one you pour into which one?
No, it doesn't matter which one pours into which one.
Okay.
But the important step to remember is you're allowed of
You only have so much work time.
exactly. You only have about 1.5 to 2 minutes, and if it's the hotter the day, the shorter the work time.
So it's better not make sure these aren't left in a hot car or in the hot sun, and try to do
Absolutely.
this in the shade, and
Yeah.
try to make sure they're not 90 to 100 degrees before you mix them.
Yes,
Because you'll run out of time in the middle of mixing them.
absolutely.
Okay.
And the biggest thing is once you mix these, you'll see that we have to make sure we scrape the edges while mixing to ensure that everything is properly mixed.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna pour this into the white one,
Okay.
just because it makes it a little bit easier to see everything.
Yep.
And then just
Getting every little bit out. And your time, I'm assuming, has already kind of
Yep.
begun.
Time has begun.
Okay.
So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna mix this up.
Making sure to get the sides and edges very well. If you don't get the sides and edges, based on my experience, you'll end up with a bunch of sticky stuff because it's not mixed and didn't cure properly at the end.
Definitely.
So always scrape the bottom and the walls very well over and over and over again. And how long do you think you're going to mix this for?
You're only gonna mix this for about
45 seconds or so, if that?
if that, because even at this point you can start to feel it starting to thicken
And warm up.
and warm up. And once you feel that, that's when, once you feel it starting to warm,
You're running out of time.
you're already running out. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to actually hold this splice.
It's probably easier if you have someone to help you. If you need me to hold that, let me know.
We should be okay. And then at this point,
That's okay.
you're going to pour this in.
And you're holding your hand around there in the bottom, I'm assuming, to make sure that there no leaks happen.
Well, the leaks, and it's also to kind of make sure. So at this point, that's your top of your cap.
Okay.
So once you fill this up to that top, what you're going to do is you're going to take this and press it down in.
All the
You
way around.
want that extra to come up. And when it comes up, just smear it
You
around the
know
top.
all the air's out then.
Yep, you know all the air's out. And when you do this, this is now sealing the whole top
Yeah.
to it. So now at this point, this will be completely 100% waterproof sealed.
But even if it wasn't, once that stuff cures, you could
Oh,
theoretically cut the casing off, and it's the resin becomes
Absolutely.
the casing's just to hold the
hold the
while
resin in place.
while it's wet. Once
Yep.
it hardens, the casing really isn't even important anymore.
And you're gonna hold this now for probably at least a good minute, 2 minutes, just to be on the safe side. Make sure everything cures.
Make sure it doesn't spill.
Stays in line with it, and at that point, you're good to go.
Okay.